All right, so welcome to the Common Controller or Digital Strategy portion of the booth. So one of the things that we experienced, number one, in a trade show environment, it's really hard to put some tangible points around a controller when a customer is going 50 feet one way, talking about an appliance for 40 minutes, and then going across the other part of the booth. They lose sight of the commonality and all the work we put into having a common control strategy. So I sat down with Rick Karen a couple of years ago now, I guess, is that we need a display like this for NAFM. So this is the output of that conversation, which, by the way, you guys will be getting a display like this, not so much this kind of footprint, but a display that you can travel with. It's in a collapsible easel. So once you learn this conversation, you'll be able to come here, I guess, get permission to take it with you, and then take it to a school district or a small regional chain or mom, whatever you want to do. Okay, what makes Welbilt unique in this environment? So again, going to a trade show, you see more and more of the appliances, whether it's Middleby, ITW, Ollie, or us, having a digital interface with the appliance. Analog controls are slowly going to go away. I would say not permanently, but your options for an analog control are going to diminish, I would say, the next 5 years, opting for more digital appliances like this. So what makes Welbilt unique, again, going back 3.5 years ago, Rick Karen really saw an opportunity because Combotherm had already pioneered really our digital look, feel, and user interface. Frymaster was coming out with their controls. Then Mary Chef was coming on board with their digital controls, and Rick Karen was like, hey guys, time out. We got a really unique opportunity here to create a common user interface, a common experience for the end user operator. And you think, okay, so what? And then I typically will ask the room, especially if I have multiple people like this, raise your hand if you're an Android phone user. Nobody in this group? One. All right, we got one. Thank you for volunteering. And then you've got all of these iPhone users. Now, if you're an iPhone user or an Android user, you've probably had that same type of application in your pocket for years. And why? Because you're experienced with the applications, you know it, it's intuitive for you. And so that's what we're trying to create here with this common user interface, is an Apple or an Android-like experience for the back of house. So as you train and you retrain and you retrain your back of house because of the turnover, this experience becomes more intuitive for that operator, all right, first and foremost. So if you know what the chef hat's all about in terms of programming a combi oven, you know that chef hat's going to have similar functionality on a Frymaster fryer or on a Mary Chef oven, right? So we're creating a well-built experience for the back of house. So that's the common digital user interface. Now, huge benefit, again, from a labor perspective. If it's more intuitive, if it's easier to use, easier to operate, it's going to be used as such. If you make it difficult for them to use, in maintenance or cleaning or operation, they're going to tend to shy away from that, right? And then you as a restaurant manager have to come over there and train someone on one specific device. We hope to eliminate that kind of issue. Okay. The other application, I need you guys to kind of swing around here, and this is really what makes this a common controller. Watch your step. Is that if you look at the options here for Welbilt, we have a 10-inch screen, 7-inch screens, and a 4-inch screen. The only really unique appliance mechanically, hardware-wise, is the 4-inch display, okay? The 10-inch screen and the 7-inch screen are still driven and run by the same hardware. So what does that mean? That means we have fewer parts running around on service trucks. All of these controllers are basically agnostic. They don't know who they are until they basically say, for simple terms, a SIM card gets put in there. It knows it's a Mary Chef when you power it up. Take that card out, put a Frymaster controller in, it wakes up a Frymaster. First time fix rates are improved because we got the right part on the right truck at the right time. All right? So it simplifies service. It just, again, increases uptime. And uptime means money time for end user operators, right? Okay. Now, the smaller screens that are typically used, you'll see, and I would say appliances that have a bit more simple in application, refrigeration, right? You just need to know what the temperature setting is. You need to be able to get outload or downloads from that appliance. those kinds of operations are a bit more simple than a larger combi oven that has complex applications embedded within it. So let's now circle back in front. Sorry to make you walk around. So that's the common controller, the common user interface, and there's a lot of benefits. So we've talked about labor, right, and training, improved uptime, improved service, all right? So what I like to do with end users as I have a conversation like this is try to separate the cloud conversation from, at first, investing in a digital appliance. You don't have to be a part of the cloud, but if you want future benefits of system upgrades, software upgrades, you got to have a digital appliance. More and more of our innovations, and I'll just say Middleby's, probably ITW's and everybody else, is going to become more and more in the digital space and less in the mechanical space, right? We've spent decades shrinking the box, making that box multi-purpose in terms of its functionality, whether you're talking about ovens, grills, fryers, or what have you. A lot of that work's been done, so how do you make that operation of that unit more intuitive? And it's all about that user interface, okay? So let me pause there. Any questions there? Straightforward, it's intuitive, and that's the word that comes out when you have these conversations with clients, is that just makes a whole lot of sense. Digital controls have gone down, and analog controls are going up because their use and application are shrinking, right, within the industry. So again, running menus, pushing limited time offer LTOs, all of that's easily executed with a digital touchscreen like this. You can't do that, well, you can do that with analog, but it's very manual, and if it's manual, the execution of that's going to be very inconsistent, right? So no one wants that. Okay? All right, so we've talked about labor. Let's talk about consistency, and let's use schools. Because of COVID and the shutdown and just the average age of the back-of-house operators in a school system, on average, there's 2 people that will not come back to work after COVID's all said and done. So it's not, this labor shortage is not unique to just QSRs and our normal chain operators, it's system-wide. So how do you make the back-of-house easier to use and operate? Common user interface and graphics, and again, this generation that's coming in is not the same generation, it's the younger generation. So this is the type of interface that they're used to, this is the type of interface that they want to experience, and if we can commonize that, and again, if they've been trained on a combi oven, operating the fryer or the Mary Chef is just that easy, because they've been experienced on how and the functionality of all the buttons are. So when I say separate the cloud from the appliance itself, because a lot of people think, I don't need to manage my entire kitchen from the cloud, I'm not a computer, that's fine. But you need to really have a digital conversation with your end user, right? Because if you're buying an appliance, average life of any design is going to be 7 to 10 years. 7 to 10 years from now, we'll probably have multiple software upgrades for these appliances, just like you do with the phone in your pocket. And each one is going to add value and functionality that you didn't know you couldn't deal without until it's there. So I just encourage everybody to sit down, think about their long-term view, and the cost differential between analog and digital is actually minimal when you think of it from that perspective. Because every time you got a system upgrade on your phone, just like you'll get a system upgrade on your appliance, there's added value there. It's like having a new phone in your pocket, it'll be like having a new appliance in the back of house. Versus an analog control, which will never benefit from anything like that. The other aspect and benefit in going back to service is that you've got benefits in the sense of the industry moving out of reactive service and into predictive service. So let's take Mary Chef, for example. If you look at a Mary Chef, we know magnetrons only have so many hours of operating life. We know the hinges on that door are only going to have so many cycles before they need to be replaced. If you go to the service menu, you can actually see very easy icon-driven green, yellow, red. This magnetron is almost at its end of life. Let's schedule some maintenance. So we reduce that disruptive downtime and actually have a predictive maintenance schedule.
Saturday morning instead of Friday.
100%. So again, something an analog appliance is never going to do for you, you're going to walk in and it's going to be down. So this is, guys, we're on that edge because COVID has really pushed a lot of this due to the lack of service in the back of house, right? The need to be able to train and retrain and retrain. multiple languages in the back house. Each of these screens have multiple languages at a touch of a button. So even if the icons from a menu perspective, whether it's pizza or tater tots or pies or whatever, doesn't make sense, we can actually change the screen to where the text below the images change into multiple languages. So just so much more functionality in a digital touchscreen. But now that you have it, and now that it's Wi-Fi enabled, if they do want to evolve 10 years from now and they do want to plug into a cloud-based solution, they got to back a house that can support it. Because without it, an analog system is never going to connect. So huge benefits to a digital controller and huge benefits to common user interface. Well, you do. There's some software that we've loaded into some of these. So this is the MCO. If you go over here, you'll see that this is running the double stack MCO. Of course, the Combitherm controller. Mary Chef, this is the older version, the press and go feature. And of course, Delfield. And so as we go through our born digital strategy, if you will, each of the brands have to kind of understand and explain, and this is our centralized business model. This is the fruits of a centralized business model. If you don't have it, there's no way you're going to deploy this across 12 brands.